Okay, imagine this. It's way past midnight and you're trying to meet some crazy deadline at work. You're running on coffee and fumes and you're not even getting paid extra for it. Well, that's the reality for a lot of people in the animation and gaming worlds. Um, this massive overworking has a name, crunch culture, and it's not just a rough day, it's basically expected. Crunch culture is an expectation that artists will work extreme unpaid overtime to meet deadlines that were unrealistic from the beginning. And in the animation and gaming industries, crunch is framed like dedication. Like, if you really care about your work, you'll stay really late. Uh, but in reality, crunch culture, it just destroys mental health, kills creativity, and reinforces deeply unethical labor practices. Um, Dupre, one of the researchers writing on this topic, um, describes crunch culture as the unspoken expectation that artists will sacrifice their personal time to meet impossible deadlines. Another study by Ed Holm and colleagues call it a systematic normalization of unpaid overtime. Basically, crunch culture isn't an emergency tool anymore, it's a business model. There are three major reasons crunch culture keep happening. Uh, One would be poor project planning. Studios often announce release dates or promise results before they even understand what the projects require. Dupre explains how this leads to a perpetual crisis management, which eventually traps workers in a cycle of unpaid overtimes. In simple terms, crunch culture happens because management planned badly and communication breakdowns. Animation and game development involve huge teams, modelers, riggers, lighters, sound designers, and programmers. If one team hits a delay and nobody communicates it, everything backs up. Um, Ed Holmes' research shows that these pipeline issues compound into crunch, the toxic culture of sacrifice. This one is the most subtle and dangerous one. Uh, Coate and Harris argue that workers are conditioned to believe that crunch is proof of passion. They say things like, "You're a team player if you stay late, you're dedicated if you're exhausted." These things make crunch culture become a part of your identity. Not because it should be, but because the culture makes you feel guilty for setting boundaries. And that's how exploitation hides itself under the label of passion. Crunch culture just destroys the people who make the art we love. It causes mental health damage. According to Emira's research, weeks or months of crunch could lead to burnout, depression, anxiety, exhaustion. Many animators and developers eventually leave the industry entirely because the lifestyle isn't sustainable. It causes physical health damage such as sleep deprivation, headaches, weight changes, and long term stress, which become normal. People usually push through it because they think they should, but humans aren't machines, and even machines break when they push too far. Uh, the illusion of productivity. Studios act like crunch improves output, which is totally not true. Um, Emira emphasizes that crunch only feels productive because the hours are longer, but in reality, the quality drops, mistakes multiply, and morale just goes down a lot, and everything slows down. So, crunch isn't efficient, it's chaotic. This part might be the most ironic because animation and gaming industries are like built on imagination, but crunch just suffocates creative energy. Dupre points out that overwork reduces imaginative capacity. People aren't thinking freely, they're not thinking about finishing. Fatigue creates an environment where workers don't explore ideas, they just follow instructions. Coe and Harris note that many artists enter the field with dreams only to become disillusioned. What used to feel inspiring becomes emotionally draining, and this is usually where crunch culture becomes self destructive. Studios want creative innovation, but yet they enforce workflows that destroy the very creativity they depend upon. Let's just go through some of the most common excuses studios give out. Crunch is necessary for deadlines. Nope. Crunch happens because management planned poorly, not because the industry requires suffering to function. Workers choose to crunch. Sure, some workers stay late because they care about their projects, but passion doesn't erase exploitation. You can love your job and still deserve fair treatment. Crunch boosts productivity more often than not. Research shows the direct opposite of that. Burnout destroys consistency, increases turnover, and leads to more mistakes. And crunch is just a short term gain with massive long term damage. So, how can we fix crunch culture? Real solutions exist, and studios and the industry could implement them today if they wanted to. Pay fair overtime. If studios had to pay for every extra hour, they would quickly schedule more responsibly and create realistic production schedules. Stop assuming everything will go perfectly. They should be using buffer times and project management tools and stop treating every deadline like a crisis. Prioritize mental health, provide counseling, check ins, and anonymous reporting systems. Workers shouldn't have to hide burnout. We should be holding leadership accountable. Leadership set the tone. If managers plan poorly or normalize overwork, they must be trained or replaced. Um, an ethical company does not rely on suffering to survive and should not be relying on suffering to survive. Studios that have ditched crunch culture actually perform better. They have lower turnovers, better quality works, fewer delays, and higher morale and strong innovation. Some studios that are noted for their efforts to abandon crunch culture include Supergiant Games, who are known for their sustainable projects, and Insomniac Games, which supports developer mental health and adjusts project scopes accordingly. Additionally, CD Projekt Red claims to have moved away from crunch following their problematic launch of Cyberpunk 2077, while others like Starbreeze and Media Molecule have experimented with crunch-free policies. Crunch culture is systemic, harmful, and unnecessary. It pushes up talented people, lowers quality, and damages the creative spirit of the industry. Ending crunch isn't just the right thing to do, but it's the smart thing to do. Animation and gaming fields always have been about imagination, and now they need to imagine a better way to work.